Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. It's time for another action figure review here on the channel, and as you can see on the screen in front of you right now, today's installment is going to be all about the new G.I. Joe Classified Series Iron Grenadier figure. So stick around, I'm going to give you all the ins and outs, ups and downs that you need to know about this Iron Grenadier here, so if you're thinking of picking one up for yourself, you'll have plenty of good information to know if it's the figure for you and if it's the right figure for you to spend your money on. I'll give you a little walk through the packaging experience, then we'll get into the figure, talk about the aesthetic qualities and the visual experience, then have a look at the articulation and the posability, then have a quick rundown of all the accessories to see how much added value they bring to the package, and then with a few final thoughts and a little comparison next to a couple of other G.I. Joes. That should bring us to the end, and you should be well informed to know whether you need to get that credit card out or cancel that pre-order. So let's get into it, and let's jump back in time to past Chris, who's going to share with you the packaging experience, the first instinctual reaction to the packaging on the day that he arrived. Let's do it. Okay then, folks, it's confession time. This isn't actually past Chris. This is now future Chris to really throw the timey-wimey kind of shenanigans all over the place on the video, because the footage I took on the day that this arrived last week, when I first cracked open the box from In Demand Toys and took him out and threw him in front of the camera, had no audio on it. I messed up my plug again. The mic was plugged into my work laptop, which will mean something to the regulars around these parts. So it's not past Chris, this is future Chris, because I've already taken the figure out. I've already taken the figure out. Which gives you, I suppose, a little insight behind the scenes, how the sausage is made, to give you a sense of how out of sequence I actually record my reviews. Not that anyone cares. So in any case, it's the standard G.I. Joe Classified Series packaging. Had I not already removed the figure, you'd see him in there, in the window. He's got the carbon fibre motif, G.I. Joe Classified Series. Got the Cobra symbol and the Iron Grenadier symbol there. Although there was a dude on the chat that I commented on before who was seriously aggrieved at the fact that we had Iron Grenadiers and Cobra associated, because they're not associated, they're not part of the same team. Then on the back, got the lovely digital render artwork. We can see that it's number 132 there in the line. Got the Iron Grenadier in front of Castle Destro there, with a load of Iron Grenadier bats behind him, a couple of breakout windows showing off a few key features, legal bollocks and malarkey across the bottom, and then that's the import sticker. A big shout out to In Demand Toys once again for the great import work that they do for us over here in the UK, allowing us to continue to support the independent retailers. Lovely bit of Iron Grenadier painted artwork down the side there, with this great pinky purple back colour. Love that. Yes, let's learn about Iron Grenadiers together. So we've got the dollar sign over the couple of bones there. Although that's actually a little bit misleading, because they live up in Scotland. Big supporters fans of the Guy Fawkes Night bonfire, but they kind of celebrate it a bit differently because they're Scottish and not English. So that should be a pound sign on that, but we'll let it pass. This here is a little kind of kids science electronics set. Iron Grenadiers, they love in their mess hall just to get the old science kids experiment sets. They visit museums, go to the gift shop, but buy them up and learn about circuits and circuit boards and wiring and stuff, and make these crazy light shows with them. It's all really fun and interesting. Then we got this little suitcase here with a bag of money next to it. The Iron Grenadiers have got, or used to have, and things have changed a lot now, but they used to have a dodgy DVD pirating operation going on. And so they'd head on down to car boot sales and Sunday markets, open up the case with a load of pirated DVDs, used to sneak camcorders into the back of cinemas and stuff and make some money that way. They're now, however, much more heavily involved in torrenting. And then finally, we've got a couple of conkers here. They a classic British tradition, very popular there up in Scotland near where Castle Destro is. Many of them have been recruited from the local area, and they have little conker tournaments in the autumn, which is a lot of fun and very heartwarming and great to see when they're out the front on the green and in the gardens of Castle Destro, competing with their conkers, soaking them in vinegar, drilling the holes in, and then smashing the shit out of them. It's awesome. And there we go, there's the packaging, folks. Although recent feedback has suggested that I spend too much time on the packaging, obviously some folks out there aren't so keen on spending time together learning more about this serious and factual lore information that I run through. But nonetheless, there you go. So if you're mint in box, or you just want to understand the shelf presence, peg presence of the item, there it is. Right, let's have a look at the figure then. So here we are then, folks. Here is the Iron Grenadier out of the packaging. Well, kind of out of the packaging. I'm cheating a little bit. I've added the helmet. He came out the box without the helmet on. And normally I would leave that stuff until I do the accessories and added value section of the video, but I felt like I needed to pop the helmet on him for this early part where we talk about the visual experience, where we talk about the aesthetic qualities. And overall, actually, like the whole head-to-toe look of the figure, I really like. I'm a fan of. I think the colour combinations look great. I feel like it's got this nice, easy on the eye symmetrical element, which they're really good at with G.I. Joe Classified series. It's got character and personality that kind of sets it apart from some other bits and bobs, knocking around on the G.I. Joe shelf on the Cobra side of things, but also a kind of uniformal element that brings it in line consistently with the overall feel and tone of the Cobra side of the shelf. There's a lot adding up really well there. I know that some folks were a bit displeased back when they first revealed it because it's one of those weird classified kind of situations where they've taken vestigial elements of the sort of first Iron Grenadier figure, the vintage figure, then sort of reinterpreted it in a modern way. I know that also in a time when I wasn't collecting G.I. Joe, but doing some research, I can see that there was a long-coated version like this many, many years later, and they sort of mashed the two up and then applied the classified vibe over the top. So your overall visual experience with the figure, I suppose, will vary depending on how much you really wanted it to be a kind of very classic vintage look, which this has got elements of. The helmet with the fin on it, the bandolier here with the stud pattern in it, you know, the general vibe, the color scheme selection is all kind of very vintage. Then it's got the long coat and stuff from that later one in the 2010s, but then obviously updated. You know, your mileage will vary depending on how much you wanted that original look or not. So there you are. That's my kind of first initial thoughts and a kind of head to toe look. Let's dive into some of the finer detail now. As far as the head sculpt is concerned, if I just take the helmet off there, you can see some of the finer detail in there, all sculpted in, all the different colour paint applications. You can see the little splash of gold in there, but all these kind of breathing mask ventilation bits and rivets and panels and things in there, which looks really great. The super shiny visor in there, which is awesome. And then if you pop the helmet on top there, you can see it's got great contours in, lovely sculpted detail, got the strap going across the back, the painted fin. Lovely stuff going on up top there, and definitely communicating a kind of very grim, menacing vibe and a big kind of grim, menacing tone around this around the head sculpt. So despite the fact we've got no facial features to give us some expression, it's still looking like he's pretty, you know, nasty piece of work. And then moving further down into the jacket and the bandolier, you can see all these lovely paint applications on the buttons and the studs and the little skull patterns there. The shoulder of the bandolier, let's get him in focus, has got the red padded pattern in there with the gold around the edges. Got the red trimmings on the jacket. We've also got all the details painted in on his pips on his collar. Even got his little Windsor knot tie in there underneath his collar. Although how that works with the head mask, that seems a bit peculiar to me, but it's there nonetheless. And then lots of lovely textured detail in here as well, like that really kind of shiny, leathery vibe to these padded sections in the body of it there. Got the creases and folds here. You can see them as you come down the sleeves. Got the little elasticated waists, all up to the usual standard. Got a paint application there on the shoulder, the Iron Grenadier symbol as well. Lovely, neat paint application in the same gold to tie it up with the rest of the gold motif throughout the figure. Then moving further down, you can see more paint applications. Love it when they paint a belt buckle. We've got this one on the front here with a little skull sculpted into it as well. Lovely piece of sculpting work. And then the actual wider buckle at the top there, sculpted in. We've got the long coat piece coming down here. I'm less of a fan of this aesthetically, only because the kind of, he's already got these kind of padded sections on his long coat there, which is fine. That's in a different sort of shade of black to the rest of the coat. And then you've got this long section here coming down, which is yet another black colour. It doesn't match great. It's all right, but not great. But it's still got the red trimmings down it. Looks all good. And then we've seen these legs before with all the, again, the contour detail and the knee pads. And then he's got super shiny boots there. Look at them under the lights. Really shiny. Destro obviously runs a tight ship up there at Castle Destro, and they've got to get the polish out. But nice to see individual little painted buckles in here as well, you know. Oh, too low. Little painted buckles in here as well, which is a great touch, and I'm always really happy when they paint in the extra little details there. I mentioned before about the colour scheme. I really like the black, red, gold, grey kind of 4-colour combo. I think it works really, really well, especially with a little bit of the grey shirt popping out the top there to match the grey trousers, but then with the red and black and gold colours around it too. Again, your mileage will vary. I think that's a personal choice thing. It just, I like it. It appeals to my eye, but it might not appeal to yours. But I think it's got a good vibe about it. Although, as I turn him around, you're probably noticing, and it would be a fair observation, he's a pretty shiny figure. He's some of the more plasticky shininess up here at the top. Now, just to elaborate on that, because somebody commented on a recent video, my lighting will be making that seem a little bit more extreme. We'll be amplifying the shininess a wee bit. But even despite that, still quite a shiny figure under, if you've got lights mounted on your display or anything like that. Obviously, in the aesthetic there as well, there's a particular historical touch point, in terms of the look that they're trying to evoke with the character. This is less so about G.I. Joe Classified and just more about the original kind of G.I. Joe designs. It does that well. You certainly draw those kind of connections of evil in the style and design of the uniform, which amplifies and increases that look of grim, menacing, unpleasantness that the character is communicating in the visual experience. So as far as aesthetic qualities go, I'm going to give the Iron Grenadier a thumbs up. Again, I'll reiterate, your mileage may vary depending on what you were looking for from this character and how visually appealing you find the colour scheme and the overall kind of aesthetic design there with the long coat, for example. But I'm into it. It's working for me, so I'm giving it a thumbs up. And it's got a nice shelf presence. I'll show you next to a couple of figures later on, but it's got a nice shelf presence in amongst that Cobra selection of characters, which I have been enjoying. Okay, well, there's the aesthetic visual experience. Let's now take a closer look at the articulation, shall we? It's the standard articulation scheme, the standard G.I. Joe Classified Series articulation scheme, folks. So, as always, if you're got no interest in seeing the articulation rundown, then I put timestamps in. You can jump to the next chapter and take a lolook at my thoughts on the accessories and added value. But if this is the first G.I. Joe Classified Series review you've ever seen, or if you're interested to know if there's any particular quirks with this figure, then stick around. I'll give you a walkthrough. I'm going to start up here with the head. So you've got a ball in the base of the head there. I think there's a ball at the bottom of the neck as well, but the down and up's not fantastic. There's the down. There's the up. It's all right, but it's not tremendous. But then you have the full 360 Exorcist there, and obviously you can move it around a little bit on the ball joint at the top there for some tilting and whatnot. Then moving down into the torso, you've got a butterfly joint there, giving you a bit of shuffle forward and back. Pegged in shoulders, giving you a full 360, and then you've got the hinge there, allowing you to do the T-shape. Swivel at the bicep and tricep. Pinless double elbow that will get you up to there. Then the standard pegged in hands, which will allow you to swivel in the wrist socket there. And then the right hand has got the up and down hinge in it. And then the left hand has got the forward and back hinge in it. In the main body there, got the ab crunch across the torso and then got the ball joint in the waist, giving you the ab crunch forward, the ab crunch back, and then lots of swivelly motion in there. You possibly noticed already, but I'll illustrate yet another G.I. Joe Classified figure that's kind of loose here in the ab crunch space. I've had a couple like this recently. Then coming down into the legs in the groin and hip area, it's the standard G.I. Joe Classified Series drop-down joint. However, obviously the coat, the long coat piece that comes down here restricts your movement, so you could get him out into a Russian ballet splits, but obviously the coat restricts that, and then you've got fairly decent forward, but again, the coat's getting in the way across the top there. Swivel at the top of the thigh. Got a double knee that I can get up to there with the coat. It's got the capacity to go further, but again, the coat gets in the way. Swivel at the top of the boot here, and then the standard hinge and rocker in the ankles. So the articulation's all right, thumbs up for sure. As you can see, he's a good independent stander. You've got the usual world of possibility when it comes to posability from the G.I. Joe Classified Series articulation range. The only thing really to be mindful of is that the coat hanging down the back here can restrict leg movement. I've actually found that's not been too much of a bother. The type of stuff that I've been trying to do with him, you know, swinging his sword while shooting his pistol, standing to attention, that kind of thing, has all been fine. But if you're going for something a bit more ambitious, you might find the coat situation a little bit frustrating. And obviously the QC, you know, this is another figure recently that has had that loose torso. I was fortunate enough to get a good Firefly, and then obviously Karma's coming back round to bite me on the ass. So it's okay, but as I say always, that little bit of QC there could very much just be my figure. Maybe yours will not be like that. Okay, so there you go. There's the articulation rundown. Let's now take a look at the accessories and added value. And aside from the helmet, which I showed you earlier on, folks, basically the Iron Grenadier just comes tooled up. The first item here is this kind of ceremonial-looking sword and sheath. We've seen this before. It's the same as the Crimson Guard one, so the sculpt is the same, but it's in the gold colour scheme. A little bit of a paint application there on the handle. Got this little cobra kind of sculpted piece here at the end, this little decorative element there, and then the scabbard, is it? Sheath, with the little gold end there, which it slides into. This has got a peg piece on it, which fits into a peg hole on the side of the figure, which is under his right arm, just there. Then the Iron Grenadier comes with his own version of the Destro loadout. So we've got this kind of sci-fi laser rifle-y thing here. The same single molded piece of plastic as the Destro version of the weapon. Little sight on the top and all these sculpted details. A little bit of a paint application there to add the splash of gold for the uniformality with the figure. And then the little handgun here, which is the same as Destro's little handgun too. There's on-figure storage for both these weapons. I didn't mention it earlier, but if we have a look on his back, you can see that there's a longer holster along the top there for holding the lasery gun, and then this smaller holster at the bottom there for holding his pistol. And then finally, the Iron Grenadier comes with the Big Ben loadout as well, the big heavy machine gun that Big Ben carries, and the weird double-barreled submachine gun that Big Ben carries. So we've seen these a couple of times in the line now. The heavy machine gun's fine. I'm not so sure about the double-barreled submachine gun. You can see I've got a little bit of barrel droop going on there, but it's in black molded plastic with the little red trimmings, again, just to give it a little kind of a uniformal feel, alongside the Iron Grenadier. Got the bipod on the front there, which swivels, and then the removable cartridge with the belt feeder in it, which is fine. This is good. Yeah, it's just a big old massive gun that he can carry around, which is a-okay with me. And then the double-barreled submachine gun here is the same, again, that we've seen with Big Ben and with the infantry trooper. Got the little kind of fold-down handle at the front. These aren't great. I haven't had a good one to date. They pop off a lot like that. The little clip that holds them isn't fantastic. The magazine comes in and out like that. So again, sculpted details look fine. It's, you know, it's a weird double-barreled submachine gun thing. And it's another rifle for him to hold, you know, which is cool, which is fine. Although this one I think is going to end up in the bits box and very rarely looked at again. So it's a thumbs up on the accessory selection. The Iron Grenadier just comes tooled up. He's all about the weapons, all about the fighty fight, this guy. But I like it. I like the selection of weapons. It's obviously an army builder figure, so if you're picking up a couple, you can kit them out with different loadouts, have them fulfill different functions, get yourself a little fire team together with or a little specialist squad, all utilizing all different weapons and stuff, which is cool and fine. It is a lot of reuse. I get the Destro loadout being reused with this guy because there's that uniformal element. I get using the same ceremonial sword as the Crimson Guards. The use of the Big Ben loadout, I mean, there's any number of loadouts they could have chosen. I'm absolutely certain there's just a big bin of these somewhere in a factory because they keep churning it out. But it's fine. Like I say, I'm just not into this double barrel submachine gun thing, but the heavy machine gun's fine, you know. So good value, lots of stuff, opens up a world of possibility. Of course, the helmet as well to finish off the visual identity of the character. It's all good, you know. Okay, well, let's now take a look at the Iron Grenadier next to a couple of other figures, shall we? And to get us started, here is the Iron Grenadier with the pretty obvious kind of shelf display companion here, Destro himself. You can see that they tie together really nicely with the black, red, and grey colour schemes, the sort of uniformal synergy there. Get some nice stuff going on with Destro carting some illegal weaponry around in his case and the Iron Grenadier guarding him. Good looking pair, I think, there. And to my mind, here's the other display buddy that goes well with the Iron Grenadier. It's the Metalhead, who's obviously a member of the Iron Grenadiers. Again, they've got kind of a uniformal consistency going on between the two. You can see that they're both from the same military force, you know, a private army type thing. Although Metalhead's just got enough difference and personality and character in there to separate him as a kind of named character. But still look pretty good, I reckon. Here's the Iron Grenadier with a Crimson Guard. This is silver face paint, the retro card back one? I don't remember, but it's the silver face painted one. But obviously they've got the same legs, same boots and whatnot, the same ceremonial sword. They kind of fulfill the same kind of style of function and still have a similar sort of aesthetic vibe going on there in terms of the role they fulfill in the two kind of combined forces of Cobra and the Iron Grenadiers. And finally, not a figure comparison, but here he is with an Uzi. So here we go then, folks. Here is the Iron Grenadier going around on the turntable so you can get a nice 360 view of the figure. I've been inclined just to keep using the sword and the Destro loadout with him. It just makes more sense to me in terms of the way I picture the cannon in my head and that kind of shelf presence that I'm looking for from the figure. But overall, I think it's a decent set. I think it's actually, I think it's a nice figure. Got something a little bit different, a new flavour. Great to see the Iron Grenadier sub-line getting fleshed out there. Can't wait to get a Darklon and a Voltar as well, just starts giving it even more flavour. I mean, Darklon and Voltar, they're gonna bring some mad colour variety to the shelf there. And these guys will look great. I've only picked up one. I'm not much of an army builder guy, but I can imagine there's folks out there who've grabbed a couple who've done some cool stuff using all the various different weaponry that is available or doing a bit of mixing and matching out of the bits box. I think there's a wide world of possibility for posing and getting little diorama displays going and taking interesting photographs. So it's hitting all the marks as far as I'm concerned. I'll just revisit my comment from very early on in the video that your mileage will vary as to like how much of a nostalgic, retro-looking Iron Grenadier you were looking for compared to what you got here. You know, that's the simple fact of the matter. I like it. I'm into it. I flip-flop around anyway between nostalgia and modern reinterpretation, but some folks might be a bit more keen to have it looking a little bit more classic and vintage, and that's fine too, you know. So there we go. There's the Iron Grenadier. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was useful. If you are thinking about picking one up or you're considering whether to keep your pre-order, it's my sincerest desire that I've helped you make a decision there today to know whether this is the right place for you to put your money. If you have found it useful, then do all the YouTubey stuff, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop me a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Otherwise, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much for watching. I know there's a multitude of other videos you could have chosen, and you chose mine. And all that remains for me to say is that I hope you have a great rest of your day. All right, folks, well, come back round again for another video sometime soon, and stick around for another sec, because the YouTube algorithm's about to tell you about another video of mine that it thinks you'd like to watch. So give that a go. All right, ta-ra now.